So, thinking about a great experience in Monterey Bay or a story, I think about when I was younger and I wanted to become a marine scientist, and I wanted to do things that were go to interesting places, see beautiful things, and make new discoveries. So now to think back and think, wow, I got to do some of that, and I get to share that with other people, is it's fulfilling, yeah. But then I'm struggling with what exactly is the story that I'd like to tell. And the first thing that came to mind was drifting in a boat in Monterey Bay and then having a humpback whale sort of scratching itself on the bottom of the boat for about half an hour, and that was pretty exciting. Another dreamlike experience was diving off of the Big Sur coast and scuba diving in a remote kelp forest. And usually around here when you're diving, the visibility is not great, but I felt like I could see 100 feet, crystal clear. I could see the individual kelp fronds and the harbor seals swimming through, and it was crystal clear. I could see my friends laying out their meter tapes to measure things, and that was quite beautiful. But the story I want to tell is one about a place called Sur Ridge. So about 30 miles offshore of Point Sur, there's a geologic feature called Sur Ridge, and it's about 11 miles long, 3 miles wide. The shallowest spots maybe 2,300 feet, and then it goes down at the bottom. It's about 5,000 feet deep. So my friend and colleague Jim Barry and we were on a cruise actually studying a lost shipping container just outside the Monterey Bay. And what never happens offshore is we finished our work early. And Jim said, wow, we got an extra day. It's like, no, that never happens. And he said, well, why don't we go check out Sur Ridge? You're always talking about it. I know you want to go there. Nobody's been there to look at the biology. He said, I've got some manuscripts I got to work on. We can check it out and see what we find there. So we looked at a map and we looked for the steepest ridge that we could find, figuring that maybe we'll see some things at the top. It'll be kind of muddy along the side, and hopefully we'll see some nice corals. So we get there. We're with the ROV pilots, sitting with the cameras, approaching slowly from the muddy floor up to Sur Ridge, and Jim's kind of opening up his computer and working on some things. And as soon as we hit the bottom of Sur Ridge, we see this corallium. It's this pink, beautiful coral. It's called a precious coral because they make jewelry out of it. It's like, wow, that's a surprise. We go a little bit further and we see this pink coral called Gorgia, and it's like, wow, another coral. A little bit further, there are these bamboo corals. And Jim kind of closes his computer and he's starting to look, and the pilots are getting kind of excited. And the rest of the day we're just going up, seeing coral after sponge. In later trips, we were seeing a whale skeleton, an octopus garden, chemosynthetic communities. And by the end of the day we had just seen corals all day long, and everybody was really hyped up. The ROV pilots that are out there almost every day saying, wow, we've never seen anything like this. So there's not only is it beautiful, you're sharing it with other people that are excited, and you're the first human eyes to look anywhere this place on the globe, and you found something's really cool, and that's still makes me feel excited. It's what you dream about doing, right, when you're young and you want to be a marine biologist. But maybe better than that is that because it's closer, we'd seen some similar things on Davidson Seamount, which is also very special, but it's further away and it's deeper. This site you could get to, in 4 hours or so, and it's closer, it's shallower, there's a lot of corals. and we could visit it repeatedly and start doing studies there. So rather than just saying, oh, there's a cool coral and moving on, it's like, let's mark it. Let's look at it through time. Let's see what's eating it. Then there's studies on how old are these things. And it's like, well, some of them are a couple thousand years old. That's pretty exciting. And then there's another scientist that, let's use lasers to look at particles moving around the corals and see how they're feeding. And then there's, well, what kind of currents do we need? And then the aquarium was interested because they want to make an exhibit on corals, and what kind of currents do we need to keep these corals alive? And for me, maybe the most exciting thing was we're starting, and we've been successful at developing techniques for taking branches of corals and transplanting them, translocating them to other areas, and seeing how they do in terms of living and what's the best way to move them, bring them to the surface, what kind of substratum to put them on, how to package them in pots. And so because there's a lot of areas of the ocean that have been impacted by deep sea trawling or oil spills or other human impacts, and so we're the first ones that are developing how to restore areas in the deep, not just by moving the corals, but by looking at if they're making eggs and propagules that they can release. So that's my exciting story about the deep sea, because it's discovery, it's beauty, it's learning, and it leads you to thinking about what a gorgeous place we have, what a special earth we have, and that you know, we should take care of it, not just by translocating corals, but by sharing the information so that the next generation of marine scientists that are thinking, what am I going to do? I want to discover some things. That in all of these areas of the ocean that won't be discovered for a long, long time, there's many places to be seen by human eyes. You know, the next generation of marine scientists will be able to go and find amazing things and then share them with everyone else, so that there's an understanding of the ocean, and we lose some of the apathy of caring about the ocean that a lot of, I think, society has, and gets excited about it and says, hey, we're connected, we should take care of it for the next generation, not just of scientists, but for everybody. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.